Welcome back to your weekly dose of encouragement on the Unashamedly You podcast. So, if you have been listening, you know February is the month that we do a series on all things love and relationships. This month has Valentine's in it, and we know that relationships is more than flowers and chocolates on one special day, but it is built in quiet moments and conversations and in intentionality and commitment, whether that is through marriage or through friendships. All a month, we are going to be leaning into conversations about those things, about the connection, about creating a home filled with intention. So, whether you are married, dating, single, healing, or somewhere in between, this month and this series is for you. And do not forget that we are still doing a giveaway. We are giving two listeners a copy of the book with the Robinettes Smooth Sailing. To enter is so simple. You just leave us a review over on Apple or Spotify, and we will pick a winner at the end of the month. Be sure to share how this podcast has blessed or helped you, and you are automatically entered to win. Hello, and welcome to the Unashamedly You podcast, a space to enlighten, encourage, and empower you to go out and unashamedly be who God is calling you to be. I am your host, Jamie Herndon. I pray you hear less of me and more of Him as you listen to today's episode. Let's grow together. We have a very special guest with us today. I know you all are going to love so much. Actually, it's funny. I had her scheduled for next month. We were going to have her on the podcast to share all that she does. She's got so much going on, share her story. But we actually brought her and her husband to speak to the seniors of Calvary Academy. And she started sharing her story, and then she started preaching. I'm like, we have got to have you on the podcast right now. It was so good, everything that she shared. I know that you are all going to glean so much. So, like I mentioned, she's known for her singing, and she is incredible voice. So anointed, not just an incredible singer. She is an anointed singer. But like I mentioned, she's a preacher too, you guys. You may not know that part about her, but she definitely is. Priscilla Bueno, I am so thankful to have you with me today. Welcome to the Unashamedly You podcast. If you'll take a moment, kind of introduce yourself, and then we can dive into the topic.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I'm really, really grateful to be here. Really happy to be with Unashamedly You podcast. I am Priscilla Bueno, and first and foremost, I am a child of God, my Lord. I was born and raised in the church, and it's really all I've ever known. I'm super thankful for the heritage that I carry of knowing the Lord. And I am a wife for the last almost 13 years to the love of my life. We have been together since we were 18 years old. We dated for way too long, but of course, we didn't want to marry too young. So we dated for quite a few years. I won't even tell you how many years. Okay, well, it was 7. But do not recommend it. But we dated for 7 years and we've been married for almost 12. So I'm um I'm just so thankful that God would pair me up with the most incredible man for me. He just yeah, he's exactly what I needed in this life. And I am a mom to 5 babies. I have Hannah, Levi, Biana, Matthias, and Seth. And they this is our odd year actually. So by the end of this year, it'll be three. Hold, okay, I can't even count in my odd numbers. 3, 7, 9. Well, all the way up to 11, starting at 3. And it's just been such a joy to be a mom to them. Mothering has really changed me, really, all the way from being pregnant with them down to giving birth to them at home. I've given birth to all 5 of them at home, so that's been an incredible experience, and then on top of that, God has been so gracious. He's given us a ministry. I've been singing since before I could speak, and music has been always a part of my life, just it's been my weapon of choice, and it's gotten me through a lot, and, you know, by the grace of God, we are doing this full time. We, yeah, we record, and 2024, we were on tour for the entire year, so it's been a fun journey, but truly, if you ask me who I am, I like to always just I'm a wife and a mom, and now I'm here living in Little Rock, Arkansas for the last 4 months, which I can't even believe it, but I'm just super grateful. God's given me a really great life, to be honest with you.
We're so glad to have you here in Little Rock. I remember whenever you guys came to the first service with us, and then people were like, Priscilla Bueno's here. And I'm like, who is Priscilla Bueno? We've got to look her up. So if you look her up on YouTube, y'all can find out all about her. Go follow her channel. She's an amazing, amazing singer. So talented, like I said, but also so anointed. Wow. The Christmas concert, if you guys did not see that at FPCNLR, she sang and sang the house down. Wow. It was just amazing. Absolutely incredible. So you mentioned that you dated for 7 years and that you guys had been together for a really long time. You told a little bit of your story to the senior class. Share some of your love story here with us. We do use the month of February to talk about marriages and love stories and all the fun things that the month of February is all about. So share a little bit of that story with us.
So we met when we were about 8 years old. I think Luis might have been 7 because he is younger than I am, only by 10 months. It's barely anything at all. And so we met when we were 8, and we just became friends. It was just like a fun, we would play tag outside in the church parking lot, and when our parents would go out to outreach, we would be, hanging out, and it was just a really fun thing. I remember being about 8 years old, and a friend of mine, her name was Jackie, and all 3 of us were friends, and we go up to him and we're like, "Hey, like, who do you like out of Jackie or I?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I like you." And I was like, "Oh, that's great." And then I never wanted to speak to him again. I was so shy, I was so embarrassed. I don't think I spoke to him till I was, like, 13. And yeah, we were just friends throughout that entire time. We didn't have a really close relationship or anything, but Luis really claimed me from day one. I mean, everybody knew that he was in love with me. I can't say that I felt the same way immediately. I mean, I thought he was cute. I liked him. I was a kid, but he was very sure. He knew, and he would tell everyone that he was going to marry me one day. So, he saw a few boyfriends come in and out. Poor guy, because they were from the church. And, his little heart, I'm sure he's still trying to heal from it, but yeah, he waited, he was persistent, and, at 18 years old, we just, started talking, and we established a relationship with my parents. I'll never forget, he invited my parents to the Sizzlers. I don't know if there's such a thing here, it's like a restaurant, and he asked my parents if he could date me, and we started dating, and, you know, he's just such a wholesome guy. I have to say he just brought so much, like, a sense of security, and he was such a safe space for me. And because I knew him most of my life, it wasn't like I was trying to get to know him. We knew each other pretty well. And, so yeah, our relationship was really fun, and we ended up, being married in the what was it? In the fall of 2013. And yeah, it's been a really great ride with him. He's everything that I'm not. He takes life a very he's just such a chill guy. He's just very he doesn't know an enemy. I don't know anybody who doesn't like him. He's very social. The or older he is, he's very social. He's becoming his father, which is beautiful. And I'm the total opposite sometimes. I'm very introverted. I was a pastor's kid most of my life, so I think that just kind of made me kind of like on guard. I would just, I always check to see who's around, what people's motives are. And he's just like he just says hi to everyone. So we really complement each other. He's a lot of fun, and I just love him so much. I truly, truly do. I'm so blessed by him. So,
I love that. That's funny you said that he had to see, several guys come and go. Matt and I started liking each other. Well, I really liked him first. But then whenever he started liking me, I liked him back, and then I'm like, "Okay, you like me, great." So then it didn't matter if I liked anybody else or not. I'm like, "Okay, you liked me." And then we went back and forth, and it's kind of the same thing though. I knew him, I knew his family, I knew he was established, like, I knew all the things I wanted. I got to watch him grow up and see that that's what he was and who he was. So some of you young girls listening to this, the guy that likes you that you're kinda like, "Oh, I'm not really sure if I like them or not. What should I do?" Just hopefully they'll stick around and keep liking you, because whenever you decide that you like them back, it can work out. It sounds more fun to find someone that's different. You don't know anything about them. "Oh, like, let's figure out about this guy." But then really, whenever it comes down to it, all the things that truly matter, you wanna already know.
Oh, yeah. You do not wanna be surprised.
You don't want it to be a mystery.
No, ma'am.
I love your story. Well, share some of how you've mentioned, that you're in the music industry. This is what you guys do full time, which is absolutely incredible. Kind of how you got started and where you are now and how your marriage fits into those things.
Yeah, well, um, personally, my ministry got started at a really young age. Like I said, I sang since before I could speak, but really ministry-wise, I like to be behind the scenes kind of person. I was never like front, I didn't like the spotlight. I still don't. It makes me very uncomfortable. But when I was 13 years old, our worship leader at the time got into a really bad car accident, and he ended up in a coma, and it was just all these things. So of course, the church has to go on. And I remember he got in an accident like on a Friday, and I remember my dad telling me, "Okay, Sunday, I need you to pick up the slack. I need you to be the worship leader this weekend." And I was like, "Dad, like, I have no experience. I've only sang backup. I've only been a part of the praise team." He's like, "No, you've gotta do it. I know you have it within you." And at 13 years old, I officially became the worship leader of my church.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I've watched videos, and I am just stiff as a bone and just don't want to I don't like to move. It was just so terrifying to me. I mean, I'm 13 years old leading this congregation. It was pretty intense, but I thank God for those crash courses because they really have taught me endurance. And you just gotta be positioned in the right place, and God's just gonna promote you out of it feels like out of nowhere, but then you realize that he was preparing you your entire life for this moment. So, that's really where my personal ministry really launched. I was in the middle of my adolescence. That was really hard, being in the limelight because I'm a pastor's kid and I'm the worship leader of the church. And,
Yeah.
just a lot of change was happening. But I thank God for a really solid foundation at home. My parents, before they um, are pastors, they were really good Christians. They are really good Christians. And we had a really solid growing up. And the same people that I always say, the same man that preached behind that pulpit was the same man that sat at my dining room table. And he is a transparent man. My mom as well. They made the gospel so tangible, So even though I went through a lot of emotional crisis throughout my life and just regular normal teenage stuff, um, they really have always pushed me into doing more and doing better and refining myself. So when it came to ministry, I remember my dad would take us to conferences, and he wouldn't tell me, but maybe like 10 minutes before, he'd be like, "Hey, I just want you to know you're up next to sing." And I'd be like, "Dad, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you're on this schedule and around the roster." I'm like, "Dad, no, what are you talking? Yep, yep. Okay, it's time to go, 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 go." Literally, he would catch me right there, and I couldn't say no. I would just, okay. All right. So I would just go up there trembling. I didn't have a rehearsal. I mean, he would tell them my key, and I would just, yeah. My dad
Wow.
really, really pushed me out into the ministry. I mean, he was like, "You're gonna fly or you're gonna die. So which one?" And that's really how it began. Now, Luis comes into my story. It's really interesting because ever since we were 8, we both served at some caliber within the same department. And he was either playing bass or he was playing drums, or he's pretty much self-taught. So he's just really ambitious when it came to music and learning. And so we were always involved together. We were always in the band together. And we didn't know that one day, well, he knew, I didn't know that we would be married one day. But, we were intertwined from a very young age. So come about when I'm about 18 years old, he had started a YouTube channel and really was just fun and games. He had a lot of he had a lot of videos that were just very fun, I guess, but nothing music related. And one day he's just like, hey, he's like, I really want to record a song with you and we could put it on my YouTube channel. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
Were y'all just dating at this time?
No, we
Oh,
were
you were married.
dating.
Oh, you weren't even married.
He was
Okay.
before we were dating, something along, or maybe we were dating. Sorry, my timelines are really blurry. But and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I finally gave in, like, okay, that's fine. We'll do it. And it was almost like my dad pushed me to refine my skill and all of the talent aspect of it. And it was almost like Luis took the baton without me realizing that there was a transitioning happening. And it's so God given because not only was I gonna transition in ministry with Luis, but as his wife, my dad was gonna hand me over to Luis, if you really think about it. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, we started posting up videos, and that's truly he became like the guy that would play piano for me all the time. And, here we are. Years later, he's still my only pianist of choice. Anywhere we travel, I always say, like, this is a two-person combo. Like, I will not travel without him. Like, that is, you won't see Priscilla Bueno if you don't see Luis Bueno there. I'm not me if he's not there. And it's just how God has intertwined our calling and our ministry. And I'm so thankful that we get to be a team even when it comes to ministry, because I know that there's people who do ministry and she has her ministry, he has his ministry, and that's beautiful. That's great. In my case, God knew I was needy, I guess. So he's like, I'll say you guys are going to both do it together. And it's been great. God.
One thing that stood out is you said you were both serving in some capacity of the church. That's one thing that we talk to our kids so much about, our girls. First of all, if you're asked to do it, you have to say yes. And it doesn't matter if you can, it doesn't matter if you're comfortable. Like those two things do not matter whenever it comes to it within the church of being asked to do something, you have to say yes. And God will prepare you for what he's calling you for. You don't worry about the all of that. You just have to do it. And we tell them when you are serving in ministry, God is preparing you for something else. And he's preparing your future. And you saw that firsthand. Like you said, you were working at the church and the person that God had for you was working right there alongside of you. That's so beautiful. I love that. And I think it's important for especially girls that are listening to this and you're not married yet. It's very important for you to realize what you're passionate about and where you're serving and where you're at. That's probably going to be where you need to be looking for your spouse. If you're involved in church and you're involved in ministries and you're involved in things, find somebody that's doing the same thing. Don't find the person that's on the outskirts.
Mhm. Absolutely, because truly it can make or break your ministry. And you could either be a great complement to one another or truly the thing that is of hindrance. So that's super, super important what you said. Look at the circles in which you are surrounded by in the ministry, that in the passion that you feel. Because if you could have a common ground there, I think that sets you up already for a really solid marriage, at least in the ministry aspect.
For sure. You hear the phrase, it matters who you marry. I mean, we know that. It's so, so important and so true. I know my mom recently she was talking to me about that, saying, it matters who you marry. And she said, next to living for God and having the Holy Ghost, the next decision that's the greatest decision that will carry you the furthest in life is going to be who your partner is. How have you seen that play out in your walk with God and in your calling with who you've married?
I firmly believe there's this book that I really love, and it's called The Sacred Marriage. And I remember reading on the front page, it said, what if God didn't call us to marriage to be happy, but to be holy?
Wow.
And my God, that cannot be more true. It's so important who we marry because that person is in our early years of life, our parents help form our character and help us through our emotions and who we end up becoming as adults. But really, when you become an adult, it's almost like that stage of refinement, and your spouse is going to play such a huge role as to how you develop emotionally, spiritually, and especially for us women, that our husbands, they're our leaders. They are the high priest of our home. And if you're more spiritual than your high priest in your home, if you know more about scripture than the high priest in your home, if you're going to struggle, and it's going to be hard for you to live a fulfilled life, and especially to live a life in your full calling. So I think it's super important, and vice versa, for young men, to find in a spouse, to find in a wife, someone who truly is going to be a helpmate, somebody who has the same aligned convictions and the same aligned passion for God, and that you can both work through the kinks, but you both have a common goal. And I think that having kindred spirits, having a mindset that really is set on enhancing the kingdom of God, and moving the kingdom of God forward, that's going to play a huge role on your happiness eventually, because I don't think that there could be anything more miserable than being stuck in a marriage where you don't see eye to eye on any level, especially on your relationship with God, especially on your values. Then you bring children into the mix, and the wife believes the one way and raising them one way, the husband believes in raising them a completely different way. The wife has one set of convictions, the husband has another. And you just see children, they end up so confused and in a broken home. It's a wild thing. So making the decision of who you're going to marry, it truly is as important as the God that you're going to serve. I think it's truly it's I find it to be equal in importance as to the day you gave your life to the Lord, because truly this will make you or break you in your life.
It's like in scripture talking about unequally yoked. I think a lot of times we think of unequally yoked also as someone that, speaking from an apostolic perspective, someone that maybe not even know God, know truth, they're just completely out in the world versus someone. And I have thought before, unequally yoked, a lot of times it can also mean you're just not on the same level. It's the yoke is it's unbalanced.
Even.
And whenever you're unequally yoked in your spiritual life, yeah, they might be in the church, but where are they in the church? Like you said, young ladies, if you're more spiritual than the high priest in your home, you can make it work. You can force it to work, but that's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a forced work.
Struggle.
It's going to be a struggle instead of the high priest being able to pull you up and to help you and to be the strength to you that he's really supposed to be. It's going to constantly be a fight and a struggle because they are the head of the home. And whenever that's unequally yoked spiritually, it just creates so many issues. And it's just so important. And if anything, I know, if you're married and you're unequally yoked, or if you're having these different issues, then that's one podcast and one topic. But if for any reason other than young girls, if you're listening to this, if you're dating someone and you know that you're unequally yoked spiritually, they're not on the same level as you are, they're not given to God, they're not dedicated as what you are, run. It is so, so important. It matters who you marry, and with everything, even being able to fulfill your calling. How do couples shift from thinking as two individuals to thinking as a unified we? And I think this is such a good question for you because You're in the music industry, you're the singer, and like you said, Luis is doing all these other things, but you guys work together, you perform together, you produce together, you have all these things going on. That can be a little bit hard because it also is there still are two opinions, even though you're married and you're one.
Yeah.
And so instead of being that, it's we're individuals and working apart from each other, but unifying and working together.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it comes with its challenges. Working with your spouse is not easy, especially because I think as women, we have a very different perspective and view on things. We were just talking yesterday how we're empaths, and we see the need and we see the emotional aspect of things, and they're very cutthroat, business like I cannot sit in a business meeting with Luis. I cannot. I want to run out that door because the amount of like just cold, bold, and everything that he needs to be, but I can't be there. I
Yeah,
just
me either.
not. It's just I get secondhand embarrassment.
Same. I'm telling Matt, in fact, when he bought our house, I told him, I said, do not answer the phone with the realtor again when I'm in the car. I can't even be in the car and listen to it. I said, I am so uptight and stressed out at this moment. I'm like, are we losing the house? Or are you for sure buying it? He said, oh, I'm buying the house. I'm just going to see how many things I can get with it. I said, okay, then don't answer the phone again. I know you're not going to lose it. I'm fine. Same thing with the car. He's bought the last two cars for me, and I had no idea that he was even buying them because I can't take it.
No, ma'am. No, miss. Yeah.
Secondhand embarrassment, 100%. I'm like trying to pay people under the table. I'm like, here, do y'all want something extra
Oh my.
for having to deal with him? He's a salesman and he's going to make sure he gets the good end of the stick.
Absolutely. That's Aunt Lisa's, and I can't be there. So you bring that into because really we're building a business,
Right.
even that God's given us. And I just tell him, look, just tell me where to stand. Tell me what I'm singing. And that's all I want to know. I do not want to know about contracts, and I do not want to know about split sheets. And I want nothing to do with that. But what's really helped us, I think, it's first of all, it's that foundation of we obviously our love for God and our love for each other and the respect that we have for each other. I respect him so much. I respect his opinion. I don't always agree with his opinion, but I can respect his opinion. And as women, I think it's sometimes hard to give in because we do tend to think that we know best, because we know how to get there maybe quickest, and we see how their brain works, and it's like he's gonna do two loops first, and then he's gonna try it over here, and he's gonna go left and then go right. But I'm like, look, if we go straight 15 miles, like we'll be there, right? I just want I see the safety in it. And he's just like, no, but I need to see different avenues, right? And it's understanding that we're different for a reason. God wired us different for a reason. And not forgetting our place, at least for me, I must remind me what my place is. I'm not inferior to him, but when I chose to marry him, I did choose to be covered by him. I did choose to be led by him. So this would be a two-headed dragon if I decided that I'm going to lead this on some occasions and then he's going to lead it on some occasions. And so it's more like this. The way that we try to work things out is it's he and I versus whatever the task is at hand, not team A, team B against each other. It's like we are the team, and whatever is in front of us, that's what we're to conquer. That's what we're up against. And I think that's really helped us. We've had to work through many kinks. We've had to really sit down and have real heart to hearts. Communication, my word, the art of communicating with your spouse is a real thing. I am the type that if we are not okay, I cannot sit on it for 5 days and let it fester and marinate in my heart. And I have to process it for long periods of time. I'm processing it as we talk. as I'm letting you know, as you're speaking to me, you know what? I don't even care if you tell me how badly I offended you and all of the things, as long as you're talking to me and you're telling me.
Same.
Luis is the complete polar opposite. He's like, let's sit on this for 2 days. I need to, just right now, I just can't. I don't have the mental capacity. And I have to say, I'm dying. I'm slowly dying because he doesn't love me. He doesn't want me. It's just, I don't know. He still wants to be married to me. All of the crazy girl things that we allow our heads to take us into. But, um, but I think we've both learned at 12 years of marriage, like, okay, I know what he needs. He knows what I need. I know he can't talk about things immediately, but he knows I can't let a whole day go by. So we kind of meet each other in the middle and always with the goal of we're going to walk away better than we walked into this conversation.
So
And
good.
it requires so much humility on both parts. If you walk into not even forget a business, but a conversation, and you walk in prideful and you walk in trying to get your way, then you're never going to accomplish anything. You're not going to be successful, not even in a simple conversation, let alone in a business. But when it comes to communication, really meeting each other halfway and respecting each other's opinion and really tackling it as it's you and me against whatever's in front of us, that's really worked out for us when it comes to the business. And I think we may not think alike, but when we present it out into the world, it is both of our minds combined into one thought, and this is what we've decided. So,
When you said the part about the two-headed dragon, you've seen that before where you're like, both are the head. And I'm the same way as far as over the past, we've been married now, and it will be 19 years in September. And I have had to remind myself multiple times, don't be the second head of the dragon. And put yourself in your place. But it is very true. Like, you married someone to lead you, and goes back to, it matters who you marry. If you want to be led in a God-given way, you're going to have to marry someone that's going to lead you that direction. And you're also going to have to be able to step back and say, I chose him to lead me. It's time for me to hush and follow. Especially when it comes to ours, we don't work together necessarily, but parenting, oh, that's something that you have to work together. And he's even business minded with our children to me. And I'm all heart and he's all logic. And I'm like, I don't know if we complement each other well, but at least our kids have both sides of the spectrum. Our kids are definitely thankful for all my heart, but I'm like, as they get older, you are going to be really thankful for your dad's logic and his, hard hand that's on you, making you do all the things that your mom would let you buy with. But it is true. There's been times in parenting that I've had to step back and say, okay, he is the leader of our home. And I've even been real and honest with our kids. I don't know if this is great or not, but I've been honest with my kids and say, I don't know why he wants to do it like that. Like, I'm not sure why this is what he feels is best. I said, but he is your father and he is the leader of our home. And this is what we're going to do. And this is what he feels is best. And he's very adamant about it. And this is the way that we're going to do it. And this is what we're going to follow. And that's that. And I have seen with that response, my kids will say, okay, it's like, it doesn't matter that we always understand. And I'm sure in business, it for sure is that way. You're not always going to understand exactly what their decisions are. Like you said, hey, we can just go straight right here instead of turning around and flipping twice. But if we have chosen them to be the leader, stepping back, that was everything you said was so good about that. Speak to a single person right now that is trying to find someone who's going to pull out their God-given gifts rather than suppress them. Because that's another thing is, if Luis was fighting for spotlight, but you're the singer, and instead he is in the background doing all these things. Matt is in the background. He's editing these podcasts. every single week. And then anything that I come up with, he always says he's the pack mule of Unashamedly You. He's like, he's just going around everything. I'm like, let's do this. And he's like trying to make it work and trying to be logic, about it. And I'm again pieing this guy, like, yeah, we can do this and this. He's like, do you know how to do that? I'm like, no, but you do. But that's someone that instead of suppressing those God-given gifts that God's asking something of you, they're going around saying, like, how can I make sure that she's able to shine in that light? And that's important to think about.
Yeah. I would say that probably one of the most important things for that dynamic to really work is he needs to know who he is. And he
Love
has
that.
to understand what his calling is. Because if you know your calling, but he doesn't, he could piggyback right on yours. And then it's just going to be a mess because it will become a competition. It could become a competition. It could become a, he could feel inferior because you know who you are and he does not. So I think it's super important for, we're speaking to young ladies here that the person that you choose to marry, that he has at least began developing his own understanding of his calling and walking in it. And I mean, what we said earlier, look at the realm in which you thrive in ministry. If you feel a calling to go out and on the mission field, and he hates living the city, I mean, I don't know how good that's gonna work. So things have to be, they've got to complement each other. Um, but yeah, I think him understanding and knowing who he is. That way, it's gonna allow you to flourish in your own calling, and he's gonna help you. He's not gonna be competing against you. I think that would be my take on that. And um, any man who really loves his wife wants the best for her, and he's going to want her to thrive in her calling. Anyone who loves the Lord is going to want her to thrive in her calling, and I think those things are very important.
It is so important, especially I feel like so many young ladies in a ministry realm, singing, playing, doing things, speaking. It's important whenever you find someone that, like you said, you talk about it. The communication is key here, but talk about if you feel led to the mission field or if you whatever you're feeling led to do, he's going to need to know it. And he's going to need to be able to complement that and to be able to help you. But him knowing who he is in Christ is going to help that as well. So, the biggest takeaway that I got from that there is young ladies, make sure that you're praying and and you're finding someone that loves the Lord, because when they love the Lord, they want you to walk in your calling. They'll know when it's God given to lead you in that way. What does it look like to prioritize the mission of your marriage over personal ambition in different seasons?
I mean, for example, until we moved to Little Rock, Arkansas, pre Little Rock, because we've been here for 4 months, and we're still building our community. But back home, um, just being intentional about connecting and on every level. Luis and I, Wednesdays, those were our date nights, and they were non-negotiables, and it was consistent. We could go sit on a sidewalk and eat ice cream out of the bucket, but we were together, we were bonding. It didn't have to be expensive. There were times where we bought a sheet cake from Trader Joe's, and we would go to the park and we would sit down and we would just talk. It was just that maintaining that connection. I think that marriage doesn't just happen. You've got to be really intentional about it. Because you're married, because you made that vow one day, it doesn't automatically come with preset like a success. You've got to cultivate this every single day. Every single day. You've got to work at it. If you're not working on your marriage, you need to know that it's dying. It's the same thing with a plant. Like if you're not watering it, it's dying slowly. I
Right.
mean, and the same thing with your children, but in your marriage, uh, I've always said this, like in the place where your marriage is, your relationship with your spouse, it's a real reflection of what your relationship with Christ is like.
It's true.
If you're at odd ends with your spouse, most times than not, you're at odd ends with Christ. Like you're not well in your walk with God, in your communion, because scripture tells us that men love your wives as Christ loves the church. And so the relationship between husband and wife is very much a figure of Christ and the church. So the way that we handle our marriage and how we are intentional or neglectful of our marriage really is a real representation of what we're like in our walk with the Lord. So not only just in business, but marriage should even surpass the importance of our relationship with our own kids. I've seen moms look at me cross-eyed the moment I say that my relationship with my husband comes before my children.
100%.
Because I am in covenant with my husband, not with my children. They are the product of my husband and I, but of our covenant. But my covenant was to my husband, is to my husband. So above business, above children, above even, everything, above everything, it's Christ and then it's my husband. That's how I believe, and that's how we've lived our lives. Our marriage is that important, and we should be investing in it just as much as we would in our relationship with the Lord, spending time. Communication, once again, I think that's a really simple but very practical, effective way of staying in communion. And then just, Luis and I, we have never, and this is one thing that I hope in this, I'm hoping for 2026, we've never gone on a vacation without any of our children since our oldest was born. So that's one thing I'm really looking forward to this year. I'm praying for it. Um, but once again, it's just being very intentional about and not thinking that because you're still sharing the same home, you're actually in communion, because we could be really deceiving ourselves and we could be very neglectful without realizing it.
You know, I've heard it said before, and it's so true. If you're coasting, you're going backwards. You can never coast uphill. No one's coasting uphill. You're always coasting downhill. And a lot of times we'll see that. You've got kids, you've got life, you've got things going on, you've got work, you've got business, you've got engagements, it's just, we've all got things. I mean, we've got parents, we've got siblings, we still have all these other aspects of our lives, right? And marriage. And so sometimes we can be coasting through life, coasting through all in our marriage, we feel like it's coasting. But if your marriage is coasting, if you're not intentionally walking it uphill, if you're not being intentional with it, then you're going downhill. And at some point, it's going to go too low. You've got to make sure that you're being very intentional. Matt and I, so we've always went yearly without our kids. And my mom, she listens to the podcast, she'll hear this, but I remember the first time we were going, we left Ada. She was 14 months old. It was kind of nice because Matt's company, the company that he had worked for, would send you on a trip for President's Club. And he would win President's Club every single year, and it's a completely paid for trip. And so it was either he was going without me or I was going without the kids,
Yeah.
It was 18 plus, and they would pay for you and they would pay for your spouse or one other person that's 18 plus to be able to go on the trips. And so that kind of pushed me out as my mama heart was dying, to leave her. It was always only just a couple nights. But so she was 14 months old the first time we left. And I remember my mom saying, like, I can't believe you are leaving her. And I'm thinking, I can't either. But I do remember telling her, I want a marriage where I'm showing him he matters. He worked for this trip. They worked to win it. But also, more than that, this is time that we get by ourselves. We get some time without having our kids. And it really that started the force of making us do that. We still take a trip alone without our kids. And sometimes, like you said, moms will look at you like you're crazy and they're like, I can't believe you're doing that. But at the same, that wasn't always something that was important to him. And so if it was important to him, I have to make it important to me. I have to make it happen. And now looking back, I can say I'm so glad I did. I don't regret all those times that we got to spend together. I was I had even told him before, I'm like, 4 days without our kids, that's only like, what, 361 days that we didn't have them right stuck to us. So if you think about it like that, out of a year's time, you only have 4 or 5 days that you don't have them. I'm like, "Okay, I'm not a bad mom for doing this. This is okay."
Yeah. And let me add, I will say that the reason why we have not been taking vacations is because I was either pregnant or because I was nursing. One of those 2, because I was pregnant for like 10 years, let me tell you.
5 babies, you're a super mom, and to have them all at home, man. I had I had 3, but they were all in the hospital with medication. I'm a big baby.
I said, "No, no, you're not. I'm not saying if I was at the hospital, I would have them shoot me up too."
How does a marriage united in purpose shape the atmosphere of your home and impact your children? We're talking about, kids in our homes right now. How does a marriage united in purpose affect that?
They are some of the most secure kids you will see around. I mean, you know, Luis and I are not perfect in the least bit, but our children seeing how united we are at home, at church, everywhere that we go, it has brought a huge sense of stability for them, even just in their emotions. Something so simple, and this is something that he and I have both cultivated in our children. They don't really suffer from separation anxiety. And when most kids, they usually do, and I'm not saying that if your child has separation anxiety, you're doing something wrong. No, but I think it's more like because we prioritize our marriage,
Mhm.
because we have made it normal for them to see it's mom and dad first. It's team mom and dad. Um, and that they see that in our lives, they see that
Mhm.
almost like in every scale. It just brings them a lot of security. It brings them a lot of I see our kids starting to serve even their transition here, right? I thought, okay, this can go one or the other way. We do not know. And to see that when we transitioned to Little Rock, Arkansas, just to see them, it's almost like if they were like a little plant that was just planted in a new soil and they have flourished in a matter of 4 months. I cannot even believe it, to the point where now they're serving, they have desire to serve, and I think it's also that, we have shown them the healthy aspect of ministry, and when I say healthy aspect of ministry, meaning ministry doesn't surpass the importance that they have in our lives. So ministry has never replaced ministry has not robbed them of their mom, and ministry has not robbed them of their dad. And I think that leaves them with desire to be a part of the ministry, desire to have, to step into their own call.
Mhm.
And I think it's just, yeah, that security. I see our daughter Hannah just go up there and sing, and
That's incredible.
I'm like, she's so secure in her calling. She's so secure in what she's doing. Like, she's not here for a show. She's not here for, she's truly just, and it's because that's what she does down at the pews. So I'm like, "Oh, she's not a different person down at the pew than she is on the altar. She's just taking it to the altar, and that's where she's doing it from." So, and I wanna believe that it's also that healthy relationship that they've seen us have with ministry, that they too can feel secure and feel, safe to just step into their own calling.
Saying that, ministry didn't replace you guys, and ministry hasn't replaced your marriage, it hasn't replaced things in your home. That can't be easy to always keep that. That has to be intentional.
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you that the influence that God has given us and in the realm that he's given us in, um, it could be very demanding. And I do not like to use this term, but it's the right term. In the Christian music industry, it's almost like you have to keep up, right? Like,
Mhm.
if you're not present at everything and doing and putting out music all the time and showing your face all the time, and if you look at anything of if you follow us at all, I go on hiatus for long, long periods of time. it is not until today that I'm like starting to become active, and I'm a little overwhelmed if I can be honest. Because I've always prioritized my husband, my children. Obviously, the Lord first, my husband, my children. And you have to safeguard that because, and I think in any business or in any industry, the more you allow to come in, like it will. And I am a boundaries kind of, I like to be known as the boundary queen, because I think boundaries are not to keep people out. It's to keep everyone safe. It's to say, this is the line that I draw because this is where this is the time, this is the space that I can manage. My children will be okay. I'm not going to be neglectful. I can say yes to certain things, and I'm going to have to probably say five no's to the one yes. And what the world may think, what the industry may think of me, I can truly put on the back burner and say, no, I need to know what God thinks of me. I need to know what my children think of me. And when I am done, and if my life were to be over today, what was the perspective I left of them of what serving God looks like? That's what's important to me. And if they see that I slaved away, if they see that they didn't have food on the table because mom was busy with 25 different things that she had to be at the women's retreat, at the this, at the that, that's what they're going to stay with. And I say, these are my children's formative years, and I will never get these years back. If the Lord still wants me to be as influential from here to 10, 15 years, that's going to be wonderful and that's going to be great. And I'll be able to dedicate more time to that. But today, for today, I'm not the singer or the artist or the whatever it may be called out there. I am a child of God. I am a wife and I am a mother. And that is my first ministry.
When your kids see that that's put ahead and they see that that's put first, that's what they're going to put first. They put first a lot of times, whatever, or they'll hate it. And we don't want them to hate the ministry. You don't want them to hate that calling. And then you also want them to see, hey, you can put God first. You can put your family ahead of these other things that you're doing.
Mhm. And that's one of the things that I have enjoyed about FPC, that everything that we do it so family based. And even just with the I am rehearsals, we're all there. Is it a struggle? Is it hard to
Yes.
drag all these kids?
Yes, yes, yes. It's
Well, we're all in it together.
we are.
We're doing this together. It's not like dad's thing or mom's thing, which I think we should all have, our certain moments and times. But when you're able to do ministry together, a lot of in the industry again, people kind of frowned because they'd be like, "Oh, can you come to our church?" I'd be like, "Yes, I travel with my 5 children and with my husband. That's just how." Oh, but that's how we do it. If it's more than a date, that's how we do it. I cannot, and it's not that, "Oh my gosh, I'm so attached to my children, I don't trust anybody with my children." It's not that. God gave me 5 children. He didn't give the nanny 5 children. He gave me 5 children. So, when the nanny goes before the presence of the Lord's not gonna ask her for accountability for her 5 children that she took care of.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna respond for my children.
That's good.
So, I always say, like, that's priority in my life, and if someone does not agree with it, well, then that becomes their personal problem. It's not mine.
You either want us or you don't.
Yeah.
What encouragement would you give to single and married couples that are desiring a marriage that strengthens their calling and their legacy?
I think it goes back to knowing who you are. What is your calling? What is your individual calling? What do you bring to the kingdom of God? And how does that translate together? I think that wherever we go, we should be a blessing to wherever we're at. And when you are aligned with your purpose, when you know who you are, when you're a giver and not so much of a taker because you know who you are, I think that that really sets you up for success in both in your marriage and in ministry. And that would be my advice. Just really get to know your own independent calling and live in it, polish it. If the Lord calls you to be a writer, It's not just gonna be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna get words from heaven." Like, you gotta read books. You gotta learn to write. You gotta learn to structure. You've perfect the craft. Don't be neglectful just because the Lord gave me this gift. Perfect the craft, and he will expand your territory when it comes to your calling.
That reminds me about in Esther in 4:14, it says, "If you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place." And I think about that, whenever you know your calling, you're saying, perfect the craft, get up and do it. Like there comes more than just, okay, thank you, God, for this calling that you've placed on my life. But then he's sitting there saying, okay, I've called. Now, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to answer it? I think of that so often is the relief, the deliverance is going to come. What he's calling you to and why you're here for such a time as this, it's going to come. It's going to happen. God's will always prevail.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to come from you, but are you gonna step up? Are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be willing to do what he's calling you to do? It's so much easier to receive the calling than it is to answer the calling.
Absolutely. So much fun to receive it. And
Yeah.
the benefit in the work.
And then you wonder, like, God, did I really receive this? Did you really give this to me?
Yeah.
But it definitely takes that. I love everything that you've shared today has been absolutely incredible. I knew it would. Yesterday, what you shared with the seniors was so powerful. I know that that's impacted them and their lives forever. And I wanted you to come on the podcast because, yes, you have a calling, you're answering, you are doing something great and mighty for God through your voice, and He's using you in mighty ways, you and your husband together. But that also takes a team, it takes marriage, it takes effort, it takes work. Have 5 kids, stay married, walk in your calling. It's like all the things that God has to equip you for, and He is doing that with you and through you. And so everything you've shared, thank you so much for being on the podcast. What is one last thing that you would want to leave with the Unashamedly You community today?
I would just remind you that your value is not in the mistakes that you've made. It's not in even in the lineage that you come from. It's not your value truly comes from God. Understand the value that you have, because if you do, you won't sell yourself short to anything or anyone. And if you can really work on refining and polishing your relationship with the Lord, every other relationship thereafter is going to be in the right place. Place your priorities where God wants you to have them, and I believe that your life is going to be very successful if you do those things.
So good. Thank you again for being on the podcast and sharing with us. I know you're busy. You've got a packed out schedule, but thank you for being on the podcast and for sharing your heart with all of us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode on the Unashamedly You podcast. Remember, if this podcast blessed or helped you in any way, be sure and to send it to a friend. We love when someone lets us know they are listening because a friend told them about our podcast. Make sure that you enter the drawing that we have going on for the Robinette's book, Smooth Sailing. We are giving away 2 of those books to someone at the end of this month. Go leave us a review over on Apple or Spotify, and you are automatically entered to win. Also, make sure to go and follow Priscilla Bueno over on her YouTube channel and be blessed by her music and her ministry. Thank you for listening to the Unashamedly You podcast, and go be unashamedly you.